my name is Kat, and I'm going to be demonstrating how to administer an IV medication via mini bag. So, I've already compared my physician's order to my MAR. They've been transcribed correctly, and there's 2 signatures on each. My patient today is Benicio vines, and they are admitted for cellulitis because their cat scratched them on their arm. The doctor has been prescribed, they've prescribed Azithromycin to help with the cellulitis, which is an antibiotic. So I'm going to go over my patient information. We have Benicio vines. MRN is 099-1211, and I see their birth date here, and they have no known allergies. So I'm ready to pull my medication, so I'll do hand hygiene, and then I'll pull my medication. So we have right patient, Benicio vines, right medication, Azithromycin, right dose. This is 400 milligrams. This is a 500 milligram vial, so I have sufficient amount to pull. Right route, IV, this is an IV medication. Right time and frequency, it's scheduled for September 15th, 2020 at 0600. No one's given this medication yet, there's no one signed for it, so I'm okay to give this medication. I'm going to check to make sure it's not expired and that the vial's intact so I can use it. I'm also going to take a look at my PDM for Azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. We're giving it to Benicio vines for their cellulitis from their scratch on their arm. So it can be administered by a nurse or a student nurse. The usual dosage is 500 milligrams IV daily. We're giving 400 milligrams IV daily. The maximum single dose is 500 milligrams. We're giving 400, so we're under that. And the maximum daily dose is 500 milligrams, so we'll be under that as well. So for reconstitution, we're reconstituting with 4.8 milliliters of sterile water for injection. So I'm going to pull my sterile water and make sure it's not expired and that the vial is intact so I can use this. Later we're going to be diluting in 250 to 500 milliliters of normal saline or D5W. I've chosen 500 milliliters of normal saline because it's compatible with my patient's line and it's the first time they'll be getting this medication. So I'm just going to check the bag to make sure it's not expired and that there's no leaks and that it's intact. So I'm good to use that. So we're going to be administering it over an hour. And some hazards that I might mention to the patient are that they might experience a rash, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. So I'll make note of that, and then I'm ready to start preparing my medications. So I'm going to do hand hygiene again. Pull my sterile water here, and I'm going to swab the top for 30 seconds. Let it dry for 15 while I get my supplies ready. So I'll wing back my syringe and my blood film needle. And as per my PDM, it states I need to reconstitute with 4.8 milliliters of sterile water. So I'll inject 4.8 milliliters of air into my vial. And then I can pull my 4.8. So I'll pull a little bit of excess to account for bubbles. And I'll recap.
So it's now infusing. So I'm going to go ahead and just sign my mark.
Pull back.
And then, so when the patient just
tap out any bubbles, and then over a med waste container, I'll make sure that I have my correct dose of 4.8 milliliters,
then I'll come back
which I have here.
15 cc flush of normal saline to create a line of
Okay,
tubing.
now that I've done that, I'm ready to inject it into my medication vial. So I'll swab for 30 seconds. Let dry for 15, and then I can inject this in there.
And then I'll come back when this in 30 minutes and make sure that this medication.
And then I'll let any air displace from my vial.
The primary is running at the correct rate once again.
There we go. And then I can recap.
Yeah, I did. Okay. Yeah.
Then I'll roll my vial in between my hands to make sure it's completely reconstituted. I don't see any sediment, so I know that we are okay there. Now I'm ready to pull my dose. So I've already calculated that my dose will be 4 milliliters of the medication. So I'll swab the top of my vial again for 30 seconds, let it dry for 15, and I will inject 4 milliliters of air into my vial.
I'll just do another one just to be sure.
So I'll pull a little bit of excess to account for bubbles. I'll recap, pull back and tap out any bubbles that I have. med waste container, I'll make sure that I have my 4 milliliters. I see a blend, so I have it there.
Okay, this is a test.
Okay, so once I've done that, I can write my med label. I've written all the information on here. So I can attach it to my syringe, and then I'm ready to do my second check. So we have right patient, Benicio vines, right medication, Azithromycin, right route, or not, right dose, sorry, 400 milligrams. This is 500 milligram vial. So for 400 milligrams, I'm going to need 4 milliliters, which is what I have here. Right route, IV. This is an IV medication. And this is going to be injected into a mini bag for IV administration. Right time and frequency, daily. It's scheduled for September 15th, 2020 at 0600. No one's given it, no one's signed for it, so I'm okay to give this medication. Okay, once I'm done that, I don't need my medications, they can go back. And then I'm ready to dilute it in my mini bag. So I have my mini bag, I've already checked the integrity of it and the expiry date. So I'll swab for 30 seconds. Let it dry for 15, and ensuring that it doesn't touch anything, I'll inject my medication into it.
You did. Sorry. I don't know what I was.
So I've chosen 500 milliliters for my patient because it's the first time they're getting this medication. So it offers me more time to intervene if there's any side effects, and it will be less irritating for my patient. So I'll just mix the bag around to make sure it's completely mixed together, and then I can finish my label by putting that I've added a 500 milliliter normal saline dilute. So I can attach my med label, and then I'm ready to go to the patient's bedside. So I'll gather all my supplies, and then I'll make sure that I put this in the sharps container. Okay, so I'm ready to go in the patient's room, so I'll knock on the door and do my entrance safety check. The patient doesn't appear to be in any distress. The bed's in lowest position, the call bell's within reach, and they have a IV line running. I'll do hand hygiene. Hi, my name is Kat. I'll be your student nurse today. I'm just going to check your wristband.
So I'm going to check my patient's.
So we have the patient Benicio vines, the MRN matches, and the birthday matches. Can you tell me your first and last name? They say Benicio vines. Can you tell me your birthday? They say August 1st, 1963. And do you have any allergies? They say no. Great, that all matches my MAR. Before we get started, I'm going to do my third check of my medications. So we have right patient, Benicio vines, right medication, Azithromycin, right dose, 400 milligrams, right route, IV. This is an IV mini bag, right time and frequency, daily. It's scheduled for September 15th, 2020 at 0600. There's no signature, no one's given it, and we're within the correct time frame, so I'm okay to give this medication. Okay, I have here for you Azithromycin, which is an antibiotic. It's going to help with your cellulitis from your scratch on your arm. Some side effects you might experience are nausea and diarrhea. Would you still like to take this medication? They say yes. Okay, great. I'm just going to check your site here. Is there any pain? They say no. There's no signs of infiltration or phlebitis, so I'm okay to use the site. All my clamps are open down the line, and I can see that my pump is running the correct rate that the doctor prescribed, and they're also running the correct fluid of normal saline. I can see that the tubing is not expired, so I can use this tubing, and that this is compatible with my patient's medication. Okay, so I'm ready to hook up my secondary bag.
So we are under the maximum dose and in the proper range. And for reconstitution,
okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is lower my primary bag.
Volume of 5 mL and in concentration of 1 million units per ml.
And then I can spike my mini bag.
To 100 mL of
so I'm going to make sure that my tubing is clamped.
Over 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to choose an IV.
And then maintaining sterility, I'm going to spike my bag.
Because that is compatible with the solution that's already running.
And then I can hang it.
The patient doesn't really need the extra fluids. and administer over 15 to 30 minutes.
So once I've done that,
And
I'm going to pick the port above the pump so that the pump regulates the rate. So I'm going to swab for 30 seconds, let dry for 15, and then without touching the ends, I'm going to attach my secondary tubing.
Or anaphylaxis.
Okay, once that's attached, I can back prime my bag. So I'm going to hold it below the primary and then open my clamp.
And we're going to go ahead and swab the tops of these vials. I'm going to swab this one, and swab for 30 seconds.
So I'm just going to see that my drip chamber is filled to a half to a third, so I have a little bit too much here. That's better. Okay, and I'm going to inspect my tubing to make sure there's no bubbles, which there isn't, so I can hang my bag. I'm then going to program my pump on secondary. I've already calculated my volume here, which is 504 milliliters.
3.1 mLs.
And
That's how much
the rate will also be 504 milliliters an hour.
So I'm going to go ahead and inject that in.
I'm going to set a callback to yes, and then I'm going to press start. So it states that my secondary is out of range. I've already confirmed with the pharmacy and the physician that this will be the correct rate for the patient, so I'm going to continue.
And we're going to...
Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to press start and then open up my clamp, make sure all my clamps are open down the line. So I'll just check that. And then I'm going to wait for 3 drips out of the drip chamber to make sure that my secondary is ready. I'm going to assess the site. Do you have any pain? They say no. Okay, great. I'll be back in about 15 minutes to assess you for any side effects and to make sure that my line is still running at the correct rate. Once I'm done that, I'll come back in an hour once this entire bag has been given, and I will program a 15cc flush to make sure that the entire medication dose has been given. I will also make sure that the primary bag starts to run after that. I'm just going to label my tubing to make sure for the next nurse so they know when to change it. And I'm going to sign the MAR with the date, well the date's here for the time, and my signature and designation to state that I've given the medication. Do you have any more questions for me, Benicio? They say no. Okay, great. So I will do my exit safety check. The bed's in lowest position, the call bell's within reach, the patient isn't in any distress in terms of their ABCs, and my lines are running at the correct rate. So once I'm done that, I can leave the patient's room and document on the fluid balance chart the amount of volume that I'll be instilling today.